Well, again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Eastern. I'm Ken DeLisa. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Vice President for Institutional Advancement. This is, truly a special occasion today because the President's Leadership Awards event provides us the opportunity to come together to celebrate some very special Eastern alumni and friends of the university. Simply stated, we could not do what we do to support our students without your help. I emphasize that you are special because you have individually made a conscious decision with your time, talent, and treasure to make our students, our faculty, and Eastern a priority in your lives. Over the years, you provided support for hundreds of our students, many of whom would not have been financially able to enroll at Eastern or continue with their studies on a full-time basis if it were not for the scholarship dollars that you unselfishly provide year after year. Saying thank you does not seem adequate, but we are very sincere, and our thanks are truly heartfelt. Be assured that the students you've helped are bright, committed, and if they follow in the tradition of scores of Eastern alumni, they will graduate, and about 90% of those students will remain in Connecticut to live, work, and raise their families. I'm sure you would agree that on a state and local level, particularly in the new economy we live in, that our students are a very important part of our future. You should feel very good about the role you have played and continue to play in this wonderful picture. I would also like to take a moment to express my thanks to the members of this year's awards selection committee. Volunteers serving on this year's committee were Carrie Ellis, class of '03, and past Distinguished Service Award recipient Bert Nussbaum, class of '63. From the Alumni Association Board of Directors, Joe Lowe, he's class of '03, and Marlene Pichet, class of '96, from the ECSU Foundation Board of Directors. We thank the committee for their dedicated work, without which this day would not be possible. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank my colleagues, Mike Stenko, Joe McGann, Pete Dane, Donna Snell, Ryan Rose, and Brenda Chiavetti for their great efforts in making this event what we sincerely hope will be a nice experience for all of our guests today. Your support is helping Eastern in more ways than you may know. Let me explain. In July, we learned that Eastern had been named a great college to work for by the Chronicle of Higher Education for the third straight year, joining a group of only 111 such institutions in the country. I mention this because I think it is a good indicator that our employees take great pride in their work and appreciate the opportunity to work in a state and an institution that understands the importance of having an educated workforce. Eastern was also recognized as one of the 10 best large organizations to work for in Connecticut in a very recent poll conducted by the Hartford Courant, Fox, Connecticut. Recognizing the lean economic times we continue to face, the Development Office and the faculty have redoubled our efforts to seek grants and private fundraising opportunities to provide for and enhance the academic experience of our students. A recent example is our grant application to the National Institutes of Health for $460,000. This will be for research on post-traumatic stress syndrome for our veterans. It's just one example. Also, those of us in development and our president frequently talk about the importance of building a large base of donors. I am pleased to report to you today that the total number of donors to Eastern has grown to an all-time high of 3,100, while alumni donors have increased 100% in the past 5 years to over 1,700. We have other good news. This past spring, despite the sluggish economy and when students faced unparalleled needs, your generosity resulted in our being able to award a record $335,000 in ECSU Foundation scholarships to over 300 deserving students. In addition, in the past 5 years, our endowment has grown 75% to just shy of $15 million. And I'd be remiss with so many faculty and staff donors in the room if I didn't note that employee giving in 2011 was at an Eastern all-time high, exceeding the $139,000 mark. That's really amazing. I say without hesitation that the generous and thoughtful folks in this room this afternoon had much to do with Eastern's successes this past year in helping us to become one of the nation's top-rated public liberal arts institutions. And Eastern is fortunate to have been the recipient of several other notable awards this year that have been granted in large part to because of our strong leadership. It is therefore very appropriate, and I am most pleased at this time to introduce our visionary and our leader, the president of Eastern Connecticut State University, Dr. Elsa Nunez.
Hi. I encourage you to eat your salad. I'm hungry. So as soon as I finish, I'll start mine, but please, I encourage you to do that while I'm speaking. I have asked my staff to pass out this one sheet, And I just want to call your attention to it because the presidents love to brag, and I have an audience, so guess what? I want to brag. If you look at the sheet with me, it lists 4 of the major awards that Eastern received this year. First of all, I cannot tell you how proud and how nervous I get every August when the U.S. News and World Report rankings come out. As you know, presidents hate the rankings when you're low, and we love the rankings when you're high. And so I'm pleased to announce for the 2nd year in a row, we're the only state university in the top 100 in the country. And I want to tell you that the catchment area for U.S. News and World Report, they divide the country into 4 quadrants. The West, Central, South, and the North. Not the Northeast, the North. And so our quadrant is all the way down to Maryland, all the way across to Western Pennsylvania, all the way up to Vermont. That's a lot of universities, both public and private. We rank number 28 among the publics in the top 100. I think it's a wonderful thing that we've been able to achieve this. It helps us a lot with recruitment and also with grants. The second one was in the Green Colleges Guide, and a lot of the most progressive, smart, dedicated, committed students who are looking for colleges and universities look into this Green Guide because they have the values that we want at Eastern. They're students who care about sustainability, they care about the environment, so when we're listed in the Green Guide, the best green colleges in the country, it makes a big difference for the kinds of students that we want to recruit and attract. Ken DeLisa mentioned the great colleges to work for. My employees are surveyed independently by our trade paper, the Chronicle of Higher Education. I don't do the survey. I don't see the survey until the data is completed and it's anonymous. And so for 3 years in a row, these employees have said at Eastern that this is a great college to work for. We're ranked in the top 10 in the medium classification in the entire country. And finally, the Princeton Review, which is a prestigious publication. Kids who do well in high school look to the Princeton Review rankings, as does their parents, have ranked us in the one of the top institutions in the Northeastern region for providing academic quality for the region and for the state, and also actually for the nation. So on behalf of this community, I want to just tell all the alums who are here, all the donors who are here, how proud we are of your institution, and I want you to be as proud as I am of Eastern. So thank you for being here today. Today we're honoring 2 different groups of people. But over the years, these people have shared the same place in our hearts as members of this Eastern family. I refer first to our generous donors who help our students, and there are 2 that we will be honoring today, and they support our academic programs as well. And then we have 4 alumni leaders that we will also be honoring. Many of our donors come from the ranks of the alumni, and that's a wonderful thing. That means they love and respect Eastern, and they're willing to donate. Today, we honor both our outstanding donors as well as alumni who are making exceptional contributions to their local communities, the state of Connecticut, and beyond. I am so grateful to this Eastern Foundation because Eastern Connecticut State University Foundation is probably one of the hardest working foundations in the state of Connecticut. This year, they were able to collect $350,000, my friends, so 300 Eastern students could have special support through scholarships. I want to say on behalf of the Eastern students and faculty how proud we are of our foundation and how much we appreciate it. I want to acknowledge Michael Scanlon, who's the president, Sandra Roth, who's the secretary, Justin Murphy, who's the vice president, and Brian Hall, the treasurer. We could not do what we're doing at Eastern without the support of the foundation. They're terrific, terrific colleagues. I also want to thank the officers and the members of the Alumni Association Board of Directors for ensuring that our 30,000 alumni stay connected to their alma mater. Joining us today is the president of the Alumni Association, President Mark Bradley, and Mark represents us so well across the country and in Connecticut. Thank you, Mark. So, why are we here today? We're here to say thank you to you. We had more than 3,000 donors this past year, and we're at an all-time high. U.S. News & World Report has one of the most important variables that asks the president what percentage of your alumni give. They never ask me how much you give. They ask me what percentage give, because they believe in U.S. News & World Report that if the alumni give, then you're a good institution. If your alumni don't want to give to you, it means you're not a good institution. And so building the ranks of the alumni that are donors has been one of our goals in my presidency. And we've gone, in the last 6 years in my presidency, from a 4%, not 40, 4% alumni giving to 11% alumni giving. So we're very proud, 7% alumni giving, and our goal is to get to 11% alumni giving in the next few years. I especially want to thank all of you today who are with us, and especially the leadership level donors. You are setting the bar for philanthropic support at Eastern. Thank you so much for all that you do. I am here today especially to represent the hundreds of Eastern students who, without your support, might not be in school today. They're sitting in our classrooms, they're burning the midnight oil in the library studying, they're trying to achieve their goals as scholars and building their professional careers while they're students here. 50% of our students come from families whose fathers may be doctors, their mothers may be lawyers, their families may be very well-to-do, but the other 50% of our students are from modest backgrounds. Their families have never gone to college, some of them were wards of the state, and they're all very needy. To our honorees, I want to offer a special thanks and congratulations. Particularly, I want to start with history professor Barbara Tucker, who has taught at Eastern for 25 years and is one of Connecticut's leading historians. What is special about Barbara is that she's a faculty member who is what I call a high roller at Eastern. She is one of our significant donors, and that's very rare to have a faculty member reach down in his or her pocket and say, not only do I work here, but I want to support the institution with my financial support. It is her generosity in supporting history students through this scholarship that she established in 2000 in honor of her parents that brings her the special attention today. She's a role model for me, and she's a role model for the faculty because she has graciously donated to our library. She truly cares about today's students and the future leaders of the state. The Savings Institute Bank and Trust Company has served Willimantic for almost 170 years, and I'm so proud that we will be honoring them as the second high roller, Rayo, I call you. And I am so proud Rayo Ballard is here representing the bank as its president because of the connections that the bank has to the community in Willimantic, not just to Eastern. They do great things, and Rayo is on every committee trying to make this community stronger and better. And we are very, very proud, Rayo, of the work that you're doing personally and the work that the bank does on behalf of this community. You have given us so much. You've given us support for athletics, local scholarships, and you've supported the dual enrollment program, to name a few examples of your philanthropy. We could not do what we're doing at Eastern without the support of Barbara Tucker and of Rayo Ballard. In addition to the generosity of these outstanding donors, today we are honoring 4 people who are our alums for their achievement in their professional careers, in their service to others in the community, and through their service to Eastern. These alumni and friends of the university are demonstrating the power of Eastern, not only to prepare people for outstanding careers, but also to develop people with character and leadership. In advance of presenting today's awards, I want to say a special word of congratulations to each awardee because you've done a job well done. All of our awardees today demonstrate what accomplishments can be reached when you apply your talents and your education. First, by passing a career as an attorney for that of an author, Jeff Benedict, class of 1991, has gained national attention for his books on athletic misconduct, Connecticut's casinos, and the landmark Supreme Court case on eminent domain. And we are so proud that today we are honoring Jeff. Tom Serra, class of 1970, has served the city of Middletown for more than 35 years as a teacher, as a principal, as a councilman, as a mayor, and as a very, very, very dedicated member of that community. We're very proud of what Tom has done. Albert Verdefe, class of 1960, has been equally active in the town of Lebanon and also here in Willimantic as a principal, a superintendent of schools, a selectman, member of the Board of Governors for Higher Education in the state of Connecticut. And he met his wife in our library, and I always tease him about that. We're so happy, Al, that you're here with your family, and congratulations. And finally, we are recognizing one of our beloved faculty members, Ralph Yulo. If you have a chance, please say hello to Ralph and talk to him about the good old days at Eastern. He'll make you laugh. He taught science education at Eastern for 25 years before retiring in 1992, and still keeps his hand in the field as a consultant, a board member of such groups as the Connecticut Science Teachers Association. And Ralph is also an active and generous donor who supports Eastern through the scholarships that he has for our students, including one named after him and fellow emeriti faculty, Rand and Art Roski. We are immensely proud of each of today's awardees for their professional, civic, philanthropic accomplishments. They and all of our alumni in attendance today are living testaments to the values and standards of excellence that have rung true at Eastern since it was established 122 years ago. To our donors, to our alumni, again, I say thank you for helping Eastern, and quite honestly, we couldn't do what we do without your support. With the budget cuts that we've sustained, if it wasn't for what you do, I don't know where our students would be. We wouldn't be able to buy the equipment we buy. We wouldn't be able to let the students buy the books that they need. They couldn't finish paying their tuition. So honestly, as taxpayers, you should be proud of this great university. As alumni, you should be proud, and as donors, you should be proud, because quite frankly, every time we educate a student to go out in that workforce, we know that we're building a greater democracy in the state of Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nunez. Please allow me, as a way of recognizing your terrific support of Eastern and our students, to share a short passage attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson. I think that this quote I'm going to read is the essence of what brings us together today to celebrate wonderful people who really care about others and the world around them, and who show it by their words and actions. To quote him, he says, you may have heard this, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, and to endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Please enjoy your lunch, folks. We'll be back. This is always the best part of the program, when we get to announce our recipients. And we have, such a wonderful group of recipients once again this year, as Dr. Nunez mentioned. Our first award this afternoon is the ECSU Foundation Board of Directors Distinguished Donor Award. The Distinguished Donor Award recognizes outstanding philanthropic support by a corporation or foundation. We are honored to present the ECSU Foundation Board of Directors Distinguished Donor Award to the Savings Institute Bank and Trust Company. The Savings Institute was incorporated as a financial institution by an act of the Connecticut Legislature in 1842 under the name Willimantic Savings Institute. It now operates under the name Savings Institute Bank and Trust Company, with Rayo Briard as the president and CEO. And Rayo is truly this community's banker. The bank offers a full range of financial services to individuals, businesses, and municipalities through its 21 Eastern Connecticut offices. The primary product offerings include savings, checking, and deposit accounts, certificates of deposit, residential and commercial mortgage loans, commercial business loans, and consumer loans. Additionally, wealth management services, which include trust, financial planning, investment services, and life insurance, are offered to individuals and businesses. SI Financial Group, Inc., publicly traded on the NASDAQ Global Market under the symbol SIFI, is the parent holding company of Savings Institute Bank and Trust Company. Through the years, the directors and employees have worked hard to articulate what distinguishes SIBT from other banks and businesses. What sets the bank apart are its guiding principles that are at the core of the bank's culture. That's service, integrity, boldness, and teamwork. The SIBT philosophy is ultimately tied to its customers, its community, and its shareholders, as summarized in its mission, quote, Savings Institute Bank and Trust exists to enrich the lives of individuals and businesses within the communities it serves while sustaining financial stability and optimizing shareholder value, unquote. SIBT has certainly enriched the lives of the students who have attended and ultimately graduated from Eastern over the past several decades. SIBT currently employs over 30 Eastern alumni and has generously served as a key sponsor for many of our key fundraising initiatives at the university, including the annual golf tournament that supports athletics, the bowl-a-thon, the auction brunch, and the funding events over the years that have generated significant scholarship revenue over the past 2 decades. The university is grateful for the generous support that SIBT has provided Eastern, particularly during this challenging economic period. I'd be remiss if I did not express my sincere appreciation to Rayo for his leadership and to Brian Hull. He's the bank's EVP and Chief Operating Officer who serves us with distinction on the ECSU Foundation Board of Directors. At this time, I'd like to ask Savings Institute President and CEO Rayo Briard to come forward to accept the ECSU Foundation Board of Directors Distinguished Donor Award. I'd ask Tim Coppage to come on up to join us at the podium for the award presentations, and Dr. Nunez. It's heavy, yeah. I'm going to hold that one for you. Yeah. Good? Okay.
I just would like to thank everyone here, and I'm going to tell you also that I'm probably going to hire Ken because all he said was a great spokesperson. Let him do our marketing for us. And, we do appreciate it. You know, we value the relationship we have with the university. As the bank in town and the university and the hospital, there are a few key employers that are very critical to the success of this community, and we're glad to be a part of it. And I would just like to acknowledge this table here of alumni and my co-workers at the bank for all they do to make us as successful as we are, and to have earned this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. He has to get to the airport. Travel safely, Rayo. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay. Thanks, Rayo. The Herman Beckert Friend of the University Award is presented to a friend of the university who has rendered distinguished service to Eastern, the state, or their local communities. Anyone who knows this year's recipient or who has had the opportunity to work with him knows how very deserving he is of this award. It's with great pleasure that I announce Dr. Ralph J. Ullo, Jr. as the recipient of this year's Herman Beckert Award. Ralph Ullo graduated from Southern Connecticut State University with a Bachelor of Science in Intermediate Education and Mathematics, and earned master's degrees from the University of Hartford, Wesleyan, and Harvard, where he also earned his doctorate. Prior to coming to Eastern, he taught in the Branford and Lebanon school systems and was an assistant professor at Lesley College. A highly respected professor of science education at Eastern for 25 years, Dr. Ullo is a 2-time recipient of Eastern's Distinguished Faculty Award. He has received many honors for his academic work, even after his retirement in 1992. Most recently, Professor Ullo received the Dr. Sigmund Avella's Science Advocate Award from the Connecticut Science Teachers Association and the Connecticut Science Supervisors Association. He's an honorary life member of Kappa Delta Pi, which is the 100-year-old International Honor Society in Education. He has been associated for nearly 40 years with Project Oceanology at a Yukon program that utilizes a variety of sailing vessels and other equipment to nurture interest and enthusiasm for science in general and the planet's marine environment in students in grades 4 to 12. He continues to teach in that program. Professor Ullo serves on the board of directors of the Connecticut Science Supervisors Association, the Connecticut Science Teachers Association, and the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium, and as a consultant to area schools in the development, evaluation, and implementation of science curricula. Dr. Ullo is still very active in his own community of Eastford. He serves on the town's zoning commission and its conservation and historic preservation commission. He's a past member of the town's board of education and of special committees related to town improvement. Dr. Ullo's loyalty to Eastern is unquestionable. He continues to be very visible on campus and sets himself apart as a consistent and very generous donor, emeriti donor. In fact, he is the key donor to a scholarship for education students named in his honor, as the president mentioned earlier. As one of the university's most engaged emeriti faculty, he is an enthusiastic cheerleader for Eastern and clearly sets an example for the campus community. It is an honor to present the 2011 Herman Beckert Friend of the University Award to Dr. Ralph J. Yulo, Jr. Please join us at the podium, Dr. Yulo. Tim, we need you back again, and Dr. Nunez, we need you back again. Dr. Nunez, would you join us? And Mark Bradley, right. Come on up. Come on. Thank you, Brenda. All righty. It's heavy. When you go to hold.
Thank you so much. I'm really very grateful and very honored to receive the Herman Beckert Friends of the University Award. I met Herm Beckert on my very first visit here, and I hadn't thought about it for years, but he actually had some hand in my joining the Eastern faculty. I had finished my graduate work, I had several firm offers, and then I heard from Eastern that they wanted me to visit. My inclination was to decline, but my wife said, why don't you go? It won't hurt to look. Well, Dr. Joseph Narodsky spent the entire day with me. In the morning, there was a large group of faculty in the old lounge in the bottom of Schaefer Hall. We talked about art of teaching, preparation of teachers, contemporary issues. They were so warm and friendly, I didn't realize until I was driving back to Cambridge that they had been interviewing me. Now, my wife will tell you that I'm a space cadet, so that's part of it. But it was really quite incredible. Then Joe Narodsky took me to the then brand new science building, Goddard Hall. Then he brought me over to meet the multimedia director, Fran Sullivan, the beginning of a wonderful friendship. Later in the afternoon, I met with the president, Dr. Searle Charles. It was quite a day. Dr. Narodsky even got me onto Route 32 to get myself back home. But for lunchtime, he took me over to Burr Hall. There was a little dining room. That was all we had then. And it was kind of down in the basement. It seemed low anyway, but there was a room that had a fireplace and wood paneling. It was the nicest room on campus for many, many years. Well, that lunch was the highlight of my trip, the most memorable part of the trip. It wasn't the food, but the food was good. It was the company. Joe and I sat down, and administrators joined us. Fran Geisler, the registrar, Bob Wickwer, the acting dean, and Herman Beckert, the director of admissions. Well, when I got home, the first thing I said to my wife was, I'm glad I went. It's really a nice little New England college, and they must be very collegial. The administrators eat with the faculty. So I've never regretted that decision. I'm grateful to my wife, Ruth, for many things, but high up on the list is urging me to come here to visit. I'm also grateful to Eastern for a great many things, and this honor just gets added to the list. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yu. That's very nice. Okay. And now for our next award category. The Distinguished Service Award is presented to an alumnus who has rendered meaningful service to Eastern and/or his or her local community and has a demonstrated record of involvement with the university. We will present two awards to two Eastern alumni this year, the first being Thomas J. Serra, class of 1970. Tom Serra received his Bachelor of Science degree in Education from Eastern in 1970. He continued his studies at the University of Connecticut, where he received his Master's of Arts in Education in 1972 and his sixth-year certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies in Education Administration in 1978. Tom's career has been devoted to education and service as a teacher, principal, coach, and public service in towns across Connecticut, but nowhere more importantly than his beloved city of Middletown. Upon his graduation from Eastern, Tom taught English in several schools before he was hired in 1974 as an English teacher and coach at Vinyl Technical High School in Middletown. He took on additional academic responsibilities at Vinyl Tech and was named Teacher of the Year in 1988. He became assistant principal in 1989 and principal in 1997. At Vinyl Tech, Tom was always committed to his students. He supervised summer employment programs, and when he learned that access to appropriate athletic facilities was limited, he worked cooperatively with the city to ensure that all city youths could use the school's sports complexes and gymnasiums free of charge. He fought to secure funding for a football team, wrestling team, and the girls' tennis and volleyball teams. That's a lot. Tom was consistently there for the students. He was known for having care conferences with students in which he would offer constructive criticism and discipline where necessary, but also praise and affirmation for a job well done. He was not only an administrator, but an inspiration, persistently helping his students become successful members of society. As his former student, William Russo, writes, quote, Tom's career has been totally dedicated to helping children either through education or sports, while also helping his community, unquote. While recognizing the way in which he could impact young people through education and athletics, Tom also sought to improve his community by becoming actively engaged through the political process. Tom loves the city of Middletown, as I said, and over the years has served as mayor, councilman, and on scores of city committees and commissions. State Senator Paul Doyle referred to Tom's commitment to his fellow citizens as unparalleled. Although now retired as a school administrator, Tom continues to serve on the Middletown Common Council as majority leader and on several city commissions. He serves on the board of directors of the Middlesex Chamber, where he is vice chair of the Business Education Advisory Council, chair of the Scholarship Committee, and member of the Sports and Manufacturing Committee. We're also honored to have Larry McHugh here. He's president of the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce, and he's chairman of the Board of Trustees of UConn. Larry, give a wave, Larry. Where are you out there? There he is. He's here, of course, to honor Tom today. They're good friends. According to the executive director emeritus of the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, David Larson, he, quote, Tom Serra is a bright, articulate, and well-respected community and educational leader who is a great representative of Eastern Connecticut State University, unquote. It is therefore with great pleasure that we honor Tom Serra with the 2011 Distinguished Service Award. Please come up, Tom, to get your award. Dr. Nunez. And Mark.
Uh-oh, you gave a politician the mic. Uh-oh, he's getting 3 pages. First, I'd like to thank the Eastern Connecticut family for this award. As far as I'm concerned, what has made me successful, whatever that is because of the education that I have received, one from the Middletown system and from Eastern Connecticut State University. I did some coursework, my master's and 6th year from University of Connecticut, and a few other courses at some other institutions, but Eastern was the foundation, the fundamentals of my success. And a couple individuals here that helped me out, Dr. Yulo was my teacher, and Dr. Ferguson, where are you? Stand up, doctor, where are you? They were my teacher. Success is not measured by the successes you have. It's by the people that surround you and that you surround yourself with. And in this case, I have 3 tables here of my family, my sisters, and my brother and sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law. And I'd like to say to you that, and my cousins and friends, and but my sons are here, and my daughters-in-law are here. But what really is really important to us is that we are really an Eastern family. My nephew Todd graduated Eastern. My sister-in-law Sonia graduated Eastern. My wife, Marianne, graduate of Eastern. My daughter-in-law, graduate of Eastern. They're here. They're all here. That has to say something for what we believe in Eastern Connecticut State University, a tremendous school for sending people out into the world and becoming successful. But just as important, it's friends. I have here Principal of Guilford High School, Rick Macenti, another educational individual. And my brother is, listen, what you see here came from the Connecticut legislature. And my brother and Senator Doyle, if they would stand up, please. My brother, Representative Sarah, and Senator Paul Doyle. Representative Sarah represents Middletown, and Senator Doyle represents part of Middletown and Weathersfield and Newington and Rocky Hill. But just as important, as you mentioned earlier, Larry McHugh, you need to stand up because my brother and Paul Doyle, but this gentleman, he's a young guy, and he has accomplished a lot, but he has one flaw in his character, and that's taking praise, because I'm trying to get him to stand up so he can stand up. As you see, when I came here to Eastern, there were 500 students, and everything was down Schaefer Hall area. Now you have 5,600 students, beautiful facilities because of those gentlemen that I just introduced. But most importantly, for me, is my family. Guess what? I met my wife here as well. And if you will stand up, please, I need to acknowledge you because she's part of my success. What happened is my roommate, she said to my roommate, to me, to give my telephone number to my roommate. She told me to give her telephone number to my roommate. Never happened. And it's been 43 years of bliss. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Tom. Congratulations. Okay. Our second recipient of the Distinguished Service Award is Albert V. Vertifay, class of 1960. Al Vertifay is a lifetime resident of Willimantic and was the first member of his family to obtain a college degree, though his path was not an easy one. Although his parents worked hard to provide him with an education, his studies were interrupted at the end of his junior year when he served 3 years in the U.S. Army. There he served in Germany as Director of American Youth Activities, but he returned to Willimantic and graduated from Willimantic State Teachers College in 1960. Following his graduation from Eastern and a year of teaching in Lebanon, Al and his wife and daughter traveled to Augsburg, Germany. Al taught in the Army's Dependents School, but returned to the U.S. to teach in Eastford. In 1965, Al became principal of Union Elementary School, and in 1966, principal of Lebanon Elementary School, where he remained until 1991. Al earned his master's degree from UConn in 1968, and he served as superintendent of schools in Lebanon from 1991 until his retirement in 1995. Al was loved by students and faculty alike, and the auditorium in the new Lyman Memorial High School in Lebanon is named in his honor. He continued to serve as an interim superintendent in several towns after his retirement from Lebanon. Al is past president of the Connecticut Elementary and Middle School Principals Association and the NEAG School of Education Alumni Association at UConn. His community involvement has been long and extensive. He is a trustee emeritus of Wyndham Memorial Hospital, president of the Capitol Theater Development Corporation, Town of Wyndham Selectmen, chairman of the Wyndham Board of Finance and Lebanon Board of Selectmen. He was an elected member of the Democratic State Central Committee for 11 years. Al has served Connecticut as chairman of the Board of Governors for Higher Education and chairman of the Board of Trustees for the State Technical Colleges. Al met Judy, his wife of 48 years, while they were both students at what was then known as Willimantic State Teachers College. Judy graduated in 1962. According to their son Matt, Al and Judy still talk about how they met in the library and how they would kiss in the vestibule of Burr Hall where Judy lived. They have 4 children, 15 grandchildren. Well, why would we be surprised about that? And one great grandchild. Al is truly retired now, Al, we hope, and is enjoying his time with family. Al Verdefe has made a difference in the quality of people's lives. He is a great role model and a good friend, and Eastern is very proud to honor him as a recipient of a 2011 Distinguished Service Award. Please come on up, get your award. Dr. Nunez and Mark. Thank you.
As was said here twice today, I met my wife in the library here. And I have a note in front of me that I wrote, and it says, "Don't forget to mention your wife." Quite often at these functions, I get up and talk and then forget to mention my wife, so I needed to start with that. My wife, Judy, sitting at that table. And my family members over there. My daughter Robin, my oldest, couldn't be here today, but I have my daughter Karen, son Matthew, my son Michael, and our latest grandchild, Nico, our 16th grandchild. Whoa. And my son Michael owns 8 of those 16. Thank you very much for this honor. I'm really humbled by it. It's been a pleasure doing what I've been doing what I can for Eastern. I will continue to work for Eastern and whatever I do in the future. I've watched Eastern grow. You've all seen the campus here today, and it's been mentioned before. Tom mentioned it. When we first came here, there were 4 buildings. The men's dorm was Knight Hall, which I don't know, housed, 8 or 10 students, and Burr Hall, Schaefer Hall, and Noble School. We've grown into this magnificent campus now, thanks to some of the legislators who are here today and others who aren't here. Governor Rowland, who was always seemed to be giving something to this university, and even though I'm a Democrat, I hate to give a Republican credit, but John Rowland does deserve some credit for some of the buildings here. So thank you again. One other person I've got to introduce. I was president of the this Alumni Association back in the 60s. And when I was going through the chairs to become president of our 8-member group, that's about as many alumni members we had at that time in the group, we decided we'd like to start a new thing, and that was awarding Outstanding Alumni Award. We gave out 1 award, and the person who got the first award is here today. Bob Spillane was the first recipient of the Outstanding Alumni Award. So with that, thank you again for Eastern. Eastern, as Tom said, and I'll echo Tom's comment, Eastern is what started me on my career, and it's thank you to Eastern that I was able to do all these things that you've talked about. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Tom. Thank you. Okay. The ECSU Foundation Distinguished Donor Awards are presented annually to individuals or institutions that have contributed consistently and substantially to the ECSU Foundation. The Foundation is proud to recognize Dr. Barbara Tucker as recipient of the Distinguished Faculty Donor Award. Barbara Tucker, Professor of History at Eastern Connecticut State University since 1986, is the director of the David M. Roth Center for Connecticut Studies and one of the leading experts on Connecticut history. Dr. Tucker earned bachelor's and master's degrees from San Jose State University and her PhD from the University of California, Davis. Before coming to Eastern, she was a lecturer in economic history at Australia's University of Sydney and an assistant professor at Rutgers University. Dr. Tucker's research and writing is focused on industrial and business history, particularly in and around Connecticut. She is the author of 2 books, Samuel Slater and the Origins of the American Textile Industrial, and, with Kenneth H. Tucker, Jr., Industrializing Antebellum America. She was the editor of the journal Connecticut History from 1986 to 1998 and has been a board member of the Connecticut Historical Commission since 1998. She has also authored numerous journal articles on industrial, family, and immigrant history, especially with a focus on Connecticut. Among her other professional activities, she is a reviewer for the Cornell University Press and is an outside department reviewer advising the Social Science Department at Plymouth State University in New Hampshire on curriculum, staff, and resource allocation and teaching history there. At Eastern, Dr. Tucker serves as Honor Student Advisor and New England Studies Coordinator. Of note, Professor Tucker also made another major donation to the university to enable the J. Eugene Smith Library to obtain extensive Connecticut studies materials. Dr. Tucker established the Ann and Kenneth Tucker Scholarship in 2000 in honor of her parents and has contributed substantially to it since that time. From the earnings generated from this endowed scholarship, we've been very fortunate to have assisted 12 undergraduate students with awards that have totaled $25,000 over the past 12 years. With my overall responsibility for fundraising, I can say that Dr. Tucker truly sets a wonderful example that we hope will be emulated by others. It is therefore with great pleasure that we award the 2011 ECSU Foundation Distinguished Faculty Donor Award to Dr. Barbara Tucker. Tim and Dr. Nunez, would you please come on up for the award?
I only have a few words to say, but it has been my honor to work with the students here at Eastern. They work hard, they sacrifice a great deal, and they do appreciate the education that they are receiving. Perhaps the nicest thing one of my colleagues said to me, I said, I have no children. We were talking one day, and Deb Simpson, who is here, and she said, Barbara, you have more children than anybody I know. So thank you so much, and it is my honor.
Thank you, Dr. Tucker, and congratulations. Okay. And our culminating award of the afternoon is the Distinguished Alumni Award. The Distinguished Alumni Award recognizes outstanding achievements by Eastern graduates who have demonstrated exceptional leadership or have achieved professional success or distinction. We are very honored to present the 2011 Distinguished Alumni Award to Jeffrey R. Benedict, class of 1991. Jeffrey R. Benedict graduated from Eastern in 1991 with a Bachelor of Science degree in history. He received a master's degree in political science at Northeastern and a JD from the New England School of Law. Even while pursuing his law degree, Jeff was developing his career as a professional writer. In 1997, he wrote his first book, Public Heroes, Private Felons, Athletes, and Crimes Against Women, while interning in the District Attorney's Child Abuse Unit in Boston. By the time he earned his law degree, he had published 3 more books, Pros and Cons, The Criminals Who Play in the NFL, Athletes and Acquaintance Rate, and Without Reservation, How a Controversial Indian Tribe Rose to Power and Built the World's Largest Casino. By then, he decided to be a writer instead of a prosecutor. His books on athletes and crime established him as a national expert on the subject. He was the lead researcher on 2 groundbreaking behavioral studies, one on student athletes and violence against women, and the other on arrest and conviction rates for athletes. In addition to being a regular analyst on network and cable news programs, Jeff served as an expert witness on behalf of rape and domestic violence victims, consulted for law firms representing victims of violence committed by athletes, and frequently appeared as a keynote speaker for women's organizations, victim advocacy groups, and law enforcement conferences. Jeff's revealing book on the world's largest Native American casino took him in another direction, as, without reservation, questioned the legitimacy of the country's most powerful tribe. After a run for Congress, he formed the nation's first statewide nonprofit corporation dedicated to stopping casino expansion, partnering with former Attorney General Richard Blumenthal to help draft landmark legislation that outlawed any additional casinos in Connecticut. In 2004, Jeff testified against Donald Trump and other casino moguls before the House Committee on Government Reform as part of a congressional investigation into the undue influence of money and lobbyists on the tribal recognition process. Benedict has written 5 other highly acclaimed books on a wide range of topics, including The Legal Battle for America's Oldest Skeletons, The Culture of Violence in the National Basketball Association, and the rise of members of the Mormon faith to become some of America's most successful businessmen. His works have been developed into pieces airing on the Discovery Channel and the ABC News Magazine 2020. In 2009, Jeff released Little Pink House, a true story of defiance and courage after 3 years chronicling the eminent domain battle in Kalo versus New London, considered the most controversial Supreme Court decision since Roe versus Wade. The New York Times Book Review called Little Pink House a fascinating narrative, and the Wall Street Journal tabbed it an absorbing read. In 2011, Lifetime Television optioned the book for a movie. Today, Jeff is a contributor for Sports Illustrated and a writer for SI.com. He is also a columnist for Deseret News, and his popular blog is featured on DeseretNews.com. In 2011, Jeff launched Inspire Books, his own book publishing imprint. His most recent publication is Poison, the true story of the deadly E. coli outbreak that changed the way Americans eat. Poisoned is Jeff's 10th book, and critics consider it to be his best. Jeff Benedict writes with unmatched passion and conviction, and he demonstrates his commitment to the pursuit of justice through each of his works. We are proud of all he has accomplished in his career, and we are eagerly anticipate all that is yet to come. It is with great Eastern pride that we award the 2011 Distinguished Alumni Award to Jeffrey R. Benedict. Please come on up, Jeff. And Dr. Nunez.
Well, you know what they say to the guy who speaks last, be brief. This has been a great session, and it's been really interesting for me to sit here. It's been 22 years since I came here to be a history major. I knew I'd get at least one applaud for that. I'd been married a little over a year. My wife, Lydia, who's here with me. Can you stand up for just a second, Lynn? We were newlyweds when we came here. I was thinking about that this morning as we ushered in here. I got a text message from my editor at Sports Illustrated asking me, where's the story? He doesn't know I'm here today. Oh, he does now, because I texted him back and said I'm tied up. But I tell you that because these lights that you all have, they work, say a liberal education practically applied. And that's what I just wanted to say today is when I think about where I was a week ago compared to where I was 22 years ago, it's this. A week ago I was in Los Angeles in a city called Compton, and Compton is famous for 3 things. It's the city that gave us the Bloods, it's the city that gave us the Crips, and it's the city that produced gangster rap. And at one time, it was considered the murder capital of the United States. It's still close. And I was there last week to go to school. I went back to school. I went to Compton High School. And I spent a day there with a student who is being recruited by many of the Ivy League football teams. He's an exceptional football player, but he's also an exceptional student. And I found this kid by accident when I was out in Los Angeles working on a different story. And I got permission from the high school to go to school with him, which is pretty rare. And I got permission from his parents, he has a mom and a dad, to sleep in their home and spend time in their home so I could really watch what this kid is all about. It is what this is about. It's a liberal education practically applied. That's what I do as a writer. It's what I do every day. It's taking these things that you learn and finding a way to apply them in your career and in your jobs. Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Now, he's a guy who put a lot of value in knowledge, and he was a pretty knowledgeable guy. But when you stack the two things up side by side, imagination in his mind and in mine should be just a tad bit higher, because if you don't use it, knowledge is often wasted. I've had the real privilege since leaving here of being involved in what's called journalism. Sometimes journalism gets a bad rap, and sometimes that's deserved. But I've just been very grateful to have been able to really get my mind and my hands and my eyes into stories that really have shaped our culture and what we do. Running around with this kid last week and going to Compton High School and sitting in an English class and sitting in a history class and sitting in a science class with a bunch of 17-year-olds on a campus with 2,300 students, and I was the only white student that day. It was very, very fascinating and very, very interesting to sit with them, to learn with them, to talk with them, to eat with them, to go in the locker room with them, and to, be one of them for a day. It's changed the way I look at a lot of things, including education, and I think about education every day because of what I do. So I'm very grateful to have been able to come to a school like Eastern. I was a married student here. I lived off campus. I trekked here every day from East Lyme. It's a long drive. But I'll tell you that there were just many days when I'd come here. As we drove up here today, one of the memories that flashed in my mind was when I first started here and coming here when all the leaves would be on the ground wet, but colored. And I remember walking up that hill every day and coming up here and finding my class. I was a quiet student. Most people didn't know me, and I didn't know a whole lot of people. I was kind of businesslike. I had a purpose when I came here, which was I really wanted to get good grades, and I wanted to graduate from college, and I wanted to go do something meaningful with my life. And Eastern gave me an opportunity to do that. It was a great place to be. It was a great place to be a married student, and I know that's not the model here. Most students live on campus, and most are single, but it worked for me, and I'm really glad that I came here. And I think we're really fortunate as an institution to have someone like President Nunez, who's doing all the things that she's doing now, which are so different, and which are distinguishable for the school. It makes it different. It just looks so different than when I came here. And it looks better, and it's not to say that it looked bad, but it's improving, it's changing. And so I thank you for honoring me. I have to tell you, I was shocked when Ken called me in my office and said that the school was interested in having me come here. I thought, why? But I'm honored that he did, and it's been great to be with you today, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff, and congratulations. We're very honored. To each of you, to this group of exceptional friends and alumni who we've honored today, and to everyone who has contributed to our success with time, talent, or treasure, thank you. We're humbled by your faith in us and by your commitment to giving our students the important support that will allow them to continue on a path to graduation and to success in whatever career that the great Eastern liberal arts education prepares them for, and for overall rewarding lives, as Jeff just mentioned. At this time of year, when we begin to think about Thanksgiving, we recognize how thankful we are to you for your philanthropy, and how inspired we are by your unwavering support of our students and Eastern. With this kind of generosity, I know Eastern and our students will have many great years ahead, and that we are truly on the path to being a university of first choice. Thank you for being with us today. We are truly honored by your presence, and please have a safe trip home. Thank you.